Hi, everybody. My name is Angel. I wanted you to see my face before we get started. I'm about to share my screen here, and we will get starting talking about waking up to wellness. So let me get the slideshow going here. All right, when we're talking about waking up to wellness, we're talking about simple morning routines for maintaining hormonal balance. So these are things that you can integrate into your life like one at a time. So try one thing, get it integrated, something becomes part of your life, and then you can add on another. So don't think that you have to do this all at once. Please note, though, that I'm not a medical doctor nor a psychiatrist. The views of this workshop are my own. And please don't make any changes to your supplements or medications without speaking to your healthcare provider. And the FDA also wants me to say that they have not evaluated this and they're not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure disease. But who am I? Well, I am Angel. I'm a mom and a wife. I have been where you are. I have been, my adrenals have been knocked out, my thyroid, everything's happened. So I've been where you're at. But I became a traditional naturopath so I could help other people not go through what I had to go through. So in the last 14 years, I've seen 7,000 clients, and I have a real passion to help women with their hormones. It's one of the things I saw most often when I was in the practice. So today we're going to be talking about consistent habits. Consistency makes habits. So you're going to start with one and then gradually add in the others, just as I was talking about earlier. So to get started on your morning, you have to be good with your night, right? So you got to sleep well the night before. So you need to get a consistent bedtime. It's extremely important. More and more research is coming out now that it doesn't matter exactly what time you go to bed, it's going to bed at that same time every night. And that is difficult for some people. Also, I would say try to aim to get in bed by 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock at night is when our body starts cleaning out for the day, cleaning up everything, all that kind of stuff. And if we are not sleeping, our body can't do that. It also, if we get in bed by 10 p.m., it allows our body to naturally align with its natural circadian rhythms. So all of this to say consistent and at least by 10 p.m. if you can. When you can prioritize sleep, your hormones function much more optimally and you wake up with more energy, right? But when you wake up in the next morning, what you really want to do is look at the sun. You want to spend about 10 minutes outside in the sun. If you're a tea drinker, maybe you sit out there and drink your tea, or maybe you walk around like I do. That's what I like to do first thing in the morning, get that sunlight. But it tells the receptors, we have these receptors in our eyes that find out where we're at in the circadian rhythm. And so it tells us where they're at for the day. Now, for a bonus, if you can get out at lunchtime and right before you go to bed at night, that is just bonus to your circadian rhythm, telling where you are and all that. So it's going to help your body produce melatonin when it's supposed to and cortisol when it's supposed to. So melatonin puts you to sleep, cortisol wakes you up. All these things happen. If you think about it, our ancestors lived outside, so they were constantly in touch with us, with the sun, but we aren't anymore. So many of us are inside. So try to start with that, even if it's 5 minutes in the morning you start out with, but try to start out with that and then work your way up to 10 minutes. And eventually you can get to that bonus of really doing it 3 times a day at minimum. Now, something else you can do in the morning is to get an electrolyte. Now, electrolytes have those four basic minerals in them. It's potassium, sodium, magnesium, and calcium. And those are like our base foundation minerals, right? So we need them to encourage healthy hormone levels, support brain function, our exercise performance, blood pressure, mood issues. All of these things are related to minerals. So if you can get those minerals first thing in the morning, it is so helpful. And one of the first things that helps is cortisol. Cortisol comes from our adrenals, our energy source, and it needs sodium more than any other organ of the body, and it needs it first thing in the morning. So if we can get these electrolytes in, it's going to help that cortisol wake us up in the morning and really get us moving. And just keep in mind, you want to get electrolytes that are sugar-free and no food coloring. Those are the big two things because you don't want to get toxins in the morning. You want to get them out. So this company I have right here, Ultima, I have no affiliation with them, but a lot of my customers say they really like this one. They have a lot of different flavors and things like that. So that could be an option for you. If you're more interested in that, I have a whole list of some I have found that I could send you. So just get in touch with me. Now, the next thing you want to do is balance that blood sugar. Okay. Eat protein for your first meal of the day. Start with trying to get at least 15 grams and work your way up to 30 grams. Okay. And then for a bonus, this is again like before, you're going to want to do that at every meal, not just at breakfast. But we're going to start right now at breakfast so you can really start on those small habits to get them better. Just do this for 1 week. It is amazing how much a difference eating protein in the morning can make in your life in just 1 week. So I highly recommend you do that. The other thing you can do to balance blood sugars is really avoid those liquid sugars. Things like sweet tea, soda, ice cream, sports drinks, all of those things. Those liquid sugars don't do anything good for us. Okay. They're going in causing poison. So really watch those. Our goal in life when we're talking about blood sugar is to lessen our spikes. The more blood sugar spikes we have, the more damage that causes, not only to our hormones, but also to our brain and our heart, so many things. So keep that in mind. We want to keep our blood sugars level. The best way to do that is to eat protein. So even if you're going to eat something sweet, make sure you do protein with it because it's going to help balance that blood sugar. Here's some ideas of some healthy proteins and fats you can have in the morning. People are always asking me for some ideas. So if you got a phone, you may know, pull this out and take a picture of it. I will sometimes actually leave, they talk about here, leftover meat or fish. I often eat leftovers for breakfast. Another thing I'll do is if I don't have a lot of leftovers, just a little bit of leftovers, I'll actually just throw an egg on top of it and eat that the next morning. Something else I do is I love to have big salads with lots of protein in it. If it make maybe too big of a salad, I'll have that salad the next morning and throw eggs on that as well. So lots of different options here you can look at. You also want to throw in that healthy fat. That's amazing for our hormones. Our hormones need fat in order to become hormones. So the whole process. I like to eat olives almost every day, avocados. Here, eggs, by the way, both sides. Eggs are good to help protein and a fat. So keep that in mind. So these are just some of the options you can have, but people are always asking me what they can eat in the morning for breakfast for protein. So here you go. A quick note about coffee. It can be a liquid sugar. So just make sure not to put any sugar in it. And when you drink coffee alone, it raises those blood sugars and gives you a spike, like I was talking about earlier. The less spikes we can have, the better. So make sure to do your coffee with your breakfast or your food. And like I said earlier, when I was saying going outside, maybe do tea. That may be a better option when you're walking outside looking at the sun or the moon, whatever time of day. And this stuff really works. Best-selling author Isabella Wentz, who wrote Hashimoto's Protocol and Adrenal Transformation Protocol, she did this survey of like thousands of people that had gone through her programs. And what they ranked was blood sugar balancing and electrolytes were the top two interventions that were most helpful for them. So just doing these two things for 1 week, you'll really notice a difference. And then as you go along, you can incorporate into your lunch more protein, do things like that. Now, something else we can look at is deep breathing. This is something I really try to do. I try to remind myself to do. And in a second, I'll tell you how I try to do it. But when we take deep breaths, it tells our adrenals to stop spiking cortisol. Cortisol is the hormone that starts spiking when we're stressed. We need cortisol. It wakes us up in the mornings. It does all kinds of wonderful things, but we don't need it spiking, just like we don't need our blood sugar spiking. And so when we get really stressed, our cortisol just starts spiking, spiking, spiking. And that is bad for us. And it really is harmful to our adrenals. But when we take deep breaths, it's impossible for our adrenals to spike cortisol. It's just this thing is telling it to calm down. Those 3 deep breaths are telling our body that it's safe. And when our body knows it's safe, it doesn't spike those cortisols. So just something to think about there. Now, in a randomized controlled study, breathing exercises showed a remarkable increase in our natural anti-inflammatory abilities as well. So people who are in pain a lot, just taking those 3 breaths will help that as well. So I have here down here on the bonus, take 3 breaths every time you go to the bathroom. That is what I try to do. That is my trigger. I have to have triggers through the day to remind me of things. And that is my trigger. When I'm in the bathroom, I just try to take, a few moments to take those 3 deep breaths. So I also try to remember to take it when I'm stressed. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It is a practice. So don't get mad at yourself for not being able to do it. Just try to remember. Some people set alarms, whatever you have to do to try to remember to take those deep breaths so we can get that cortisol not as spiking. Quick note on cortisol, when it spikes, it causes belly fat. None of us want that. So here's your blueprint for the morning. You want to sleep well the night before. You want to make sure to look at the sun, drink your electrolytes in the morning. That's why we're getting minerals. By the way, I didn't mention this earlier, but unfortunately, our minerals have been farmed out of our soil, so we don't get a lot of minerals in our food anymore. So getting those electrolytes, getting those minerals is extremely important. You want to make sure to get 15 to 30 grams of protein, at least at breakfast and possibly further. Look at this great breakfast here. We got a little bit of an egg, we got some avocado, we got some almonds, it looks like, and then some blueberries. Perfect. And then don't forget to breathe deep, okay? That it will help you from getting those cortisol spikes. Now, hormones are complicated, so let me be your guide. I have a program called Hormone Heaven. It is a 6-month program to balance your hormones. The testing is involved is functional blood chemistry analysis. Most of the time, people can get this through their doctors. If not, I can order it for you. And then included in the program is a hair tissue mineral analysis that actually tells us where your minerals are to see how we need to supplement those. But it also tells us what kind of toxins, heavy metals you have going on in your body, which really heavy metals can actually pretend to be hormones and get into our hormone receptors. So if we can get those heavy metals out, it makes a world of a difference. And then we go through the framework. Phase one is boosting that energy. Phase two, balancing those blood sugar. Phase three, we expel those toxins and repair any gut issues that may be happening. Phase four, we're supporting that thyroid. And then phase five, we're optimizing those hormones. So Hormone Heaven includes text coaching. You also get, we have phone calls, hair tissue analysis. I personalize everyone's framework. So it's not everything. Now, some things are all the same, like these things we talked about for morning rituals. Pretty much everybody needs to do those. But there are other things that we can really specify to you. You can also, if supplements are required, you definitely can get discounts on that. And if there's other functional testing involved, you get discounts on that as well. And all this starts for just less than $9 a day. So it's not going to hurt your pocketbook too much. So thank you so much for listening to this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy my newsletter. You can also find me on socials. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Alt Health Angel. I'm on LinkedIn. I also have a Facebook group called Hormone Heaven. Feel free to join that. It is a free group. And then you can also go to my website at alternativehealthwithangel.com. I have to remind you again that these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure disease. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to stop this share now. And if you have any questions, I love people to reach out to me. So let me know. I really appreciate it.